All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, Bahashem, meaning in the name, Yahweh Shai, meaning He is our salvation. And that is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus a so-called black man, all right? Who, by the way, only came for the Israelites, all right? In today's lesson, our topic is going to be discussing staying fit, all right? Not just staying fit physically, also staying fit spiritually, all right? Because this is a battle, this is a war that we are engaging in, all right? And this enemy is trying to take us out by all means necessary. So we have to combat him with this spirit, this word, all right? In doing so, we have to keep our bodies up to shape, up to par. What we put in it, how much we put in it, that's also important, okay? You cannot overdo it, all right? Just because it's lawful to eat certain things, you cannot go overboard, all right? That's part of the law. Not to be a glutton, all right? An excessive eater, all right? Just because you eating clean, according to the law, you cannot over excessively eat, all right? You got to eat in moderation. You got to balance yourself out, okay? You got to exercise. All right, we are behind enemy lines. All right, I can't stress that enough. All right, we gotta stay fit. We gotta stay fit for the journey. All right, so this is 1 Timothy 4 and verse 8. And we're gonna get this in the NLT because it hits hard in the NLT. It says, for bodily exercise profited little, okay? What else? But godliness is profitable unto all things, okay? So you have to know how to balance this out, okay? You got to stay fit in the physical form and also in the spiritual form, okay? They go hand in hand, man. You got to take care of this body we got, all right? We only get one, and this enemy, this devil, with his GMOs, his chemicals, his ingredients, his additives, his preservatives, everything, all right? Things that we're not even privy to with these big time corporations are out to get us, man. Okay? That's why it's best to stick with basic ingredients if you can. All right, if you go and you look and you check the back of a label and it's got 1,000,001 ingredients, that's a telltale sign that you may want to stay away from that. All right, you want to look on the back of a label or an ingredient, and you can not only can you pronounce the words, but there's only a few ingredients in it. Okay, that's the best you can do. Okay, so we got to make better decisions, man. Okay, we got to stay fit. It says, but godliness is profitable unto all things, having promise of the life that now is and of that which is to come. Okay, so we understand this truth is above all. Okay, but just because, exercise profited little, don't mean you have to neglect the way you take care of your body, man. Because we in it for the long run, all right? We understand that we behind the proverbial 8 ball, man, okay? We don't grow our own crops. We don't know what we putting in our own body. So we got to do the best we can do with what we got, okay? Let's get this in the alternative translation, which is the NLT, and let's see how that hits hard. It says, physical training is good, see? So you gotta train, you gotta exercise. All right, you feel better. And if you feel better, you can do better. And if you can do better, you can put more energy into this work. So it all goes hand in hand, okay? It all goes hand in hand. Physical training alongside with spiritual training is the key. All right, you don't want to be so out of shape where you can't, minister or do videos or go out on the highway and hedges, man. All right, you want to stay as in good a shape as you can. All right, because once the ailments and things of that magnitude start, taking hold, and man, okay, eating too much sugar, what comes along with that. All right, the D word. All right, the BDs. All right, monitor your sugar, your stress level. Exercise is a good counterbalance to all of this, man. Walking, lifting weights. All right, this is all good. It says physical training is good, but training for godliness is much better. See, you got to balance it out. All right, you got to get your physical shape, your physical condition, but you cannot neglect training for godliness. That's at the end of the day, that's what we after. All right, we after building up our spiritual man, okay? But we got to make sure our physical body is capable of doing that. All right, and the Bible gives us foods that we can and cannot eat. All right, now just because we know what we can and cannot eat don't mean we go overboard. All right, so it's all about moderations, not being drunk with just consuming as much as you can just because you can. You gotta balance this thing out, man. Okay, so we behind enemy lines. It says, but training in godliness is much better, promising benefits in this life and in the life to come. Okay, so that's what we're trying to make it to. We're trying to make it to the end of this life. All right, so we got to make sure our bodies are functioning at optimal levels. Okay, walking. All right, get your walk in, exercising, lifting lifting medium to moderate weights is good, man. Don't overdo it. Okay, you got to know your limitations, man. If you ain't lift weights in years, you don't want to go on and squat, 300 and something pounds, or try to bench press 200 something pounds. Just work your way up to get your blood flowing, man. Get that blood circulating throughout your body. All right, that cholesterol, when you work out, you can release certain chemicals that can have your blood to flow more fluent, okay? Because in this world, man, hey, I'm just gonna tell you, this shit is messed up, man, okay? You can get blood clots, you can get all type of shit, man, all right? So you gotta exercise to a degree, don't overdo it. A moderate pace of walking. If you got a treadmill or if you can walk outside, do it. Monitor what you eat, okay? Try to eat in moderation, okay? However that looks. If you break your meals down throughout the day, you eat you a little snack here and there, or if you do 1 or 2 big meals a day and, do something in between, not something heavy, like a fruit or something like that, alongside with fasting, cleanse your body and detox it. We gotta last as long as we can, man. All right, we already know we behind enemy lines. So let's go to Ezekiel chapter what is it, 4? Ezekiel 4. Where it says you should eat your bread defiled amongst the Gentiles. Here we go. Ezekiel 4:13, it says, and Yahweh said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I drive them. You see how that looks in the NLT. Then Yahweh said, this is how Israel will eat defiled bread in the Gentile lands to which I will banish them. So you see, we got to eat defiled bread, man. We don't have the best of the best, okay? These GMOs, this food, can affect your vision, can affect your blood, your sugar levels, can affect your vision, and everything. So you got to really take care of what you eat. If you're gonna use sugar, try to use cane sugar, okay? That's from a natural, natural plant. All right, sugar cane. All right. Don't use that refined sugar. Stay away from refined as much as possible. That's a no-no. If you can stay away from refined bread, instead of refined bread, use whole bread. All right? Or they got Ezekiel bread. It's a little bit more costly, but it's got better ingredients. But stay away from that refined white bread. If you can stay away from, if you're gonna use rice, stay away from the white rice. Use brown rice, okay? All this refined and bleach and additives and preservatives and sugars, it's not good for the body, all right? It's going to break down the components that's within the body, all right? And this devil knows this, man, okay? This devil knows this, all right? That's why we got to continually to stay up on researching and finding out, when you look at the back of these ingredients, what are they actually made of? Okay, how much sugar does it have? Does it have included sugars or additive sugars? All right, meaning that natural sugars and then they add sugar onto it to make it sweeter for you to like. All right, be careful with those included sugars or added sugars. All right. Cholesterol. You want to get as less cholesterol as you can. Sodium. That's another one. All right. Man, when you actually know what you're looking for and you see what this devil does, man, it's only by the grace of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah that we still here, man. All right. Exercise profited little, but godliness profited everything. All right, it's only by the faith, it's only by the mercy of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah that we hear through our faith. All right. So it says, then Yahweh said, this is how Israel will eat the foul bread in the Gentile lands to which I banished them. Right. So we don't have control over what we grow, what we, eat for the most part, because that's all part of the curses. All right, let's show you that. Deuteronomy 28. You're going to go to your enemy for all wants and needs. What's that? Deuteronomy 28. Go to your enemy for all wants and needs. what verses? Might have to go back to 44. So let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 44. It reads, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. All right, so we ain't going to have no control over what we can buy, what we can sell, or anything, because why? We're in captivity. You got to be so specific with this here. So the point is that we just, have to make the best of what we can, all right? And reading and looking things up is part of what we have to do in order to maintain at an optimal level, okay? We can't just put anything in our body, all right? Because we got to try to make it as far as we can, all right? So that we can continue to be in the truth, all right? So we have to stay fit in the spirit and in the physical, all right? But we have to focus more so on the spiritual, because the physical doesn't profit anything. You can have a tip-top shaped body, but if you don't have the spiritual aspect to go along with it, what good is it going to do, all right? It has to go, cohesively together, all right? Training to keep the body training to keep the body physically fit and the spirit physically fit. Now you working on the same page. All right. That's what we have to. We have to try to make this thing as best as we can. All right. We just not putting anything in our mouth, man. All right. And then we praying on top of it. Okay. To remove as much as possible, if not all as possible. If it be your will, Heavenly Father, Abba Ratazah, Father will, remove the sodium, remove the refined flour, the refined sugar, the high cholesterol. Pray that he remove as much as possible, if not all as possible. If it be the will of the Heavenly Father, he will, okay? We got to pray over these foods, man, all right? Because we know, hey, man, we behind enemy lines, man, all right? Can't stress that enough, okay? You want to eat something, you don't know what's how much they put in there. Okay? That's why I just stick to the basic ingredients, man. All right? You know chicken is chicken. Now you got chicken where they mix it up with rib meat and all other type of stuff, man. So we know we just make the best that we can, man, and the Lord see us trying. All right? So you just got to stay fit as best as possible. All right, let's go ahead and close out 1 Peter 5 and 8. This is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant. See, you got to be alert and aware of what you put in your body, man. We got to play for the long run. He that endureth to the end. All right? What good is it if you can't get up and move around because you done overate yourself? What good is it if you can't get up and move around because you got all type of, ailments plaguing you? All right? High blood pressure, sugar levels out the roof. Okay? You gotta make sure you stay on top of your game, man. All right? Watch what you eat. Okay? You know, if you've been eating junk food for so long, especially on top of eating all that junk food, you ain't doing no exercise. It's one thing if you eating bad, but you exercising trying to balance it out. But if you ain't doing nothing but just eating bad, junk food, pizza, hamburgers, you name it, candy, and you ain't exercising, man, that's compounding all type of stuff on top of stuff, man. Bad stuff on top of bad stuff. You ain't exercising. So now you got no type of outlet, no type of, blood flowing through your body, because that's what exercise does. Exercise changes your blood type. Not your blood typing, like if you're A positive, you're going to go, but it changes the flow of blood, man. All right? You can't succumb to that lazy demon, man. All right? You can't be glutton. You can't be a glutton, and you can't be slothful, man. All right? You got to get up. You got to exercise, even if it's just for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's a start, even if it's for 10 or 5 minutes. Okay? You just got to start doing it. Okay? While you still can. You don't want to wait till it's too late, and you got to get up, catch your breath, wait a second or two. You don't want to let it get to that point. All right? You want to exercise while you can get around and move freely. Okay? So that you can be a asset to this ministry. Okay? So if you out of shape, you want to work on it, it's never too late. Okay? One step at a time. Watch what you're eating. Hey, it starts with what you put in your mouth. All right? Then you can, after you watch what you put in your mouth, then you can start, if it's okay, you check with your physician, do a little bit cardio, exercise, weights or what have you. But, be sober, all right? Don't just put everything you see in your mouth, man. Look at the ingredients. Be vigilant. Watch what you put in your mouth, okay? Because your adversary, the devil, this so-called white man, he makes everything so irresistible and it's so unhealthy, okay? You might have to pay a little bit extra, all right? But in the long run, it's going to pay, because you gotta imagine, if you got to pay a little bit extra now to save you the trouble later, isn't it worth it? But damn, I got to pay an extra $2 or $3 to get something that's, more organic, less ingredients. Because you might like tea, but you go get a $1 or $2 tea, and they got all type of shit in there. But then you go spend an extra $2 or $3, and you get your $4 or $5 bottle of tea, and it's just got the basic water, cane sugar, and tea. All right, you can't go wrong with that. All right, as long as you don't drink it over excessively. All right, so you you might have to pay a little bit, but in the long run, it'll pay off, because what's going to happen if you don't? You're going to end up with the diabetes, and then that's gonna be way more. You're gonna look back and say, man, it would have been worth me to pay that extra $2 or $3. All right, to not have to deal with this corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, refined sugar, and all that other shit. All right, just because it tastes good, nah, man, it ain't worth it in the long run. Okay, so be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, this so-called white man, he knows, man. All right, he knows exactly what Jake likes. All right, something sweet. And you can make it sweet. They don't give a damn what else is in it. Okay, they're gonna put red dye number 6 food colors to make it look pretty. Man, F all that, man. I'd rather just give me the basic ingredients, man. See, but Esau is all about making a damn dollar too, man. So he got to make that food last on the shelf life longer than it can. So what is he going to do? Add all type of additives and preservatives, knocking out the real benefit of that food. And we can't make our own, so what we going to do? We got to go to him for all wants and needs. All right? He's going to be the lend. He's going to be the head. We're going to be the tail. Until that time when Yahweh Shai come and reverse things. So we got to just be as sober as we can and be as vigilant as we can. Because our adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. All right? If he can get you to put ill-advised shit in your mouth, that's going to have a profound impact on you down the road, then he going to do that. All right? He going to say he didn't force you. See? So we got to use this internet and everything to our benefit to see exactly what it is that this devil is putting in these foods that we're eating. Because it ain't real food, all right? It's not real food. If you don't grow it, you don't know it, okay? So we're going to wrap it up with staying fit in the spirit and in the physical, all right? Staying fit with the body and in the spirit, all right? So with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We almost home. Shalom. Peace.